T-Type bought the derailleur like another 5 years of life.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic.
Imagine the re-greasing of your headset every 5 ride situation if you had internal cable routing.
Oh no!
You just throw your bike in the trash.
Oh, I don't think you could even like use the 50 tooth. Like I think I'd just wheelie if
I know, dude. I was riding the 11 speed for like 2 years after 12 speed came out. I was like, you don't even need that.
But the difference between us is I'm out there with a real tire pressure gauge, and Alan's just like squeezing the tire. Like, yeah, that's right. Like
it's all about consistency, though. You know, you know what you need, and then that's what happens.
I don't buy it. You can do it.
I don't know, dude. Were you having a hard time keeping up with me yesterday? I mean.
Didn't ride together enough to know.
I guess not. Yeah. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Recon Podcast. Nick and I in the house again. Kind of a unique idea for today. Really want to talk about like what is missing in mountain bike tech. Like what on the trail do you wish your bike had, or maybe it's like something that's missing as far as maintenance or ease of maintenance, things like that. Because it seems like every day there's new mountain bike technology coming out. New parts of it are becoming electronic. Mm-hmm. There's now like AI involved where it's reading your rides and doing all your things and, you know, all those crazy things that are coming out. But what is missing from a rider, like the rider's aspect? Because a lot of those technologies are coming out based on needing a consumer to buy something that doesn't exist yet.
Right. And you sort of look into the crystal ball by imagining what you could need, because riders dream up these products. And maybe one day we'll have that influence on the podcast or as individuals.
Yeah. Yeah, you reconers out there.
Yeah.
If we say something that you like, let's get the industry to make it.
Yeah, let's get the comments going. Before we start, everyone, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure to comment. Make sure you just get a part of the ecosystem. We're stoked to have you. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. So from a trail aspect, while you're on the trail, what is the thing? Because, you know, we've seen different stuff get put on frames now as a standard, like a spare parts, like a tool little mount. Mm-hmm. Or is it, you know, maybe a couple of years ago, there was a big push for water bottles. Like you can't have a water bottle on the down tube, like the bottom of the down tube.
Right. But you need a water bottle.
You got to have a water bottle.
I know.
Yeah. So that's now dictating suspension design, the consumer demand for a water bottle in a place where it stays clean. But for you, when you're on the trail, is there something that stands out where you're like, man, I just need this thing?
I actually want to step back for a second and talk about the trail itself.
The trail.
Because I think that's the most important part of this picture is trail access. I think as mountain bikers, we need more legal trail areas, especially in California. And then we can get into tech. But like so many of the good riding areas in California are completely unofficial. It's not, people like to say they're illegal. They just don't exist. So are they really legal? You know?
You know, I this might be a whole nother podcast, but I like to say they're unsanctioned.
Right.
Because as long as they're not patrolling it, it's not sanctioned. And are you really breaking the law? Or are you just using the land that's there? I don't know.
And people say illegal, like you're definitely breaking a specific law, but it's like, they just don't exist. They're not on a map somewhere. No one knows where they are.
Unsanctioned.
So for one, that's one thing we need to fix. California, Santa Cruz, Bay Area, all these areas are so far behind Europe. Because Europe is like, there's not really a rule one way or the other. It's just land.
Yeah.
A lot of it's just public land. And those trails have existed so long. They've been connecting old villages and stuff. Now, they're repurposed for bike trails. You can ride hiking trails. And here there's just like, for some reason, they had to draw a line. They had to say a rule. You must not ride your bike here.
Should we change the beginning of this and just do a podcast on trail access?
No, we can get back into the tech. Let's go. Okay. Now that I said my piece about what I've been thinking about,
bookmark it, because I feel like we could talk about that for an hour.
Okay. New podcast coming soon. But we'll go back to the bike tech. And I think it's, again, I'll kind of spin it back. It's less about what I need, but what I don't need too. We need to simplify standards. So I need no torque caps on my hubs. I need the same rear end spacing on all bikes possible. Honestly, one thing that kind of grinds my gears, pun intended, is XD driver versus HG driver.
Yeah, microspline.
So in terms of like number one for me would be simplifying all these different standards. Why do they exist? Why can't we all just come to an agreement on something? I think they were going in a right step with the UDH. That was kind of like we already said, like a Trojan horse for the derailleur system, the T-type derailleur system, which I'm sure other derailleur systems can use too. But that's cool. That's one version of it.
Yeah, I think T-type bought the derailleur like another 5 years of life.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic. in terms of, I don't know, what do you think? What would be your first thing? So for me, we need to simplify things. But after, let's get into some tech.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like kind of a maintenance issue. Like I look at, bikes are so good now. Looking back at, it's interesting. I rode for Specialized for 10 of my 11 pro years as a professional BMX athlete. And during that whole time, they were kind of always like, dangling mountain bikes in front of my face. You want to come do this contest? You want to go to that race? And I was never really into it because the bikes were terrible.
Yeah.
They would just break. But nowadays the bikes are so good and it's getting harder and harder to come up with answers to the questions like what's missing.
Yeah.
But for me, the thing that's missing is an actual sealed headset. Like, yes, there's sealed bearings in there, but nothing is sealing the frame and the bearings separating that seal.
So you're saying like a sleeve in the head tube to sit the headset into, or are you saying like, like the barrier between the frame and the inside of
let me explain to you the issue that I have.
Okay.
Times like this when it's dusty out, only 3-4 rides maybe, your headset will start making noises. It's different if you're on a carbon bike versus an aluminum bike for sure. I think it happens a little bit faster on a carbon bike. The dirt just gets in there a little bit, and that groove above and below the head tube and the headset is where the dust is getting in. Majority of it is just getting fed in by the tire while you're riding. And to me, that's such like a no-brainer and a low-hanging fruit thing to fix. Because for me, that's like one of the more annoying things to have to do. Take your whole front end apart. So now your steering, you have to realign your steering. You have to re-grease everything. And it's a kind of a pain in the ass unless you have like the perfect tool setup where you have your bike on a stand, you pull your fork out, but that's like, now you got to take your lever off.
Yeah.
So now you've changed your lever angle and like all the things you don't ever really want to change, you have to change it to re-grease your headset. And it's like, come on, man.
It's like the service the most people put off for as long as possible.
Yeah. And it's the one that you forget because you can't see it when your bike's sitting there. And then you get on the trail for the first time. You're like, oh yeah, I was supposed to grease my headset. It sounds terrible. But yeah, that's nothing. But then also for aluminum bikes, one of the things that I have a hard time with is when I wash it and the water gets in there, over time, the headset bearing itself, the headset race, it's steel, so it will rust. And it leaves like a rust residue on the aluminum head tube, because obviously aluminum doesn't rust, but whatever that rust that's happening on the steel bearing itself is then affecting my frame. And so there's been a couple of times, actually Dario at Pink Bike, he had an issue on a aluminum Stumpy where he just couldn't get the head tube to stop creaking. New headset, everything. And what it does is it throws that off just a little bit, that extra added rust. It's like metal on your head tube. So now the bearing's not sitting flat. And you put a new headset in and you re-grease it and it's good for one ride. And then it's like the loudest thing you could ever think of. And, thinking about dirt bikes and thinking about cars and the types of waterproofing that they do on a lot of those components, the standards that they have, it's like, come on, bike industry, it's time to step up. I don't need to be re-greasing my headset every 5 rides.
Yeah. From like an engineer standpoint, how do they do that? They create more robust seals around the top or like a lock system that covers the entire headset better. How do they do that?
I've kind of like sketched out some ideas. I'm more like a bar napkin engineer. So I can come up with the idea and the thing that I need and want, but I can't like get on a CAD computer and build it. That's what my dad's for.
Yeah.
But kind of my thinking is it would take a frame manufacturer to work with a headset company. So then you're building the frame head tube with slots for rubber seals that are now on the headset bearing races. You work with a headset brand. It's not really much tooling. It's 2 pieces. The 2 most inexpensive pieces of a headset, the bottom race and the top race. If there was a double rubber seal, triple rubber seal, sorry. So there's 2 rubber seals that come down on the bearing race and there's one already on the frame. And it locks in like this and seals, and the bearings inside of all of that. It might require a slightly thicker head tube, but dude,
would the bearings be more inset into the head tube?
I think it would be the exact same bearing. You wouldn't have to change the bearings. It's just a little bit bigger headset or head tube on the frame in order to make space for these seals. And then you put the seals on the races and they just slide in together and you have a triple rubber seal with a sealed bearing in there. I mean, it seems inexpensive, and there's some engineering to be done to it, but with carbon and the way that you can just kind of add and take away material that you need, I mean, it seems plausible. If they're doing the crazy things that they're doing with internal cable routing, come on.
Yeah. I mean, internal cable routing, that's a good place to go, because I've had a few different bike brands, ridden them, built them, messed with different things, had to change the cables and housing. And it really makes you appreciate the brands who use a straw inside of the frame. When you feed it in, it comes out the other side. You don't even think about it. Santa Cruz does a really good job at that. And
it does add a lot of weight, though.
Does it really?
Compared to a foam insert, just like a little plumbing pipe insert, it's quite a bit heavier.
Just from a consumer standpoint, the simplicity's there. And I think if they can get around the weight thing, maybe it's like just a fixed foam insert. They just glue the foam insert in. A customer being able to change their cables themselves, if they still have cables, which I think they will, that's so important.
Yeah, that is a big one for sure. I mean, I didn't even think about this, but dude, imagine the re-greasing of your headset every 5 ride situation if you had internal cable routing.
Oh no, please.
You just throw your bike in the trash.
Oh no, please. I mean, you've seen the videos where they're like, oh, I just want to put my seat post up a little bit. And the mechanic has to completely disassemble a headset, take the fork off, take the e-bike battery out, drop the motor. And it's like, we can't have that. The brands.
It's almost like the brands don't realize what the average hourly rate of service is these days, which is upwards of $150 to $200 an hour. It's crazy.
It can be. And I feel like there's not malice from the brands designing the bikes. I think they just don't think that far down the chain. They go, we need, a motor here, a battery here. That's where the cable goes. They're not like, oh, this guy's going to want to have to like change his seat height. That's such a simple thing that you need.
Yeah. Imagine that. Imagine buying a new Ferrari and then you have to take it to the shop for service in order to adjust the seat. Like where your seat is, or the steering wheel or something. That'd be insane.
Car manufacturers do that a little bit though. It's like, you have to drop the motor to change the oil. Like the really high-end ones have the most.
Dude, it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
They've stopped making a lot of the smaller service parts, so you have to buy the entire thing. Like a friend of mine was needing a new transmission in his 2015 Nissan Titan, and they didn't sell the little clutch part. You had to buy a whole new transmission, which is just forcing people to buy new cars. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, thinking about that, like where is the technology of the bike industry going that we actually need? Mm-hmm. Like, what was the last super important, you would never ride without engineering or design that came about, in the last couple of years?
Biggest shift that I can think of that was just like tectonic was just One By.
Yeah.
To me, that was it. I remember we were riding. It was right when One By took over, and it went from 1 by 42. 42 in the rear,
yep,
to 50 to Eagle. And we were like, I don't think you could even like use the 52. Like, I think I'd just wheelie if
I know, dude. I was riding the 11 speed for like 2 years after 12 speed came out. I was like, you don't even need that.
I know. And now we're on 52 and you don't even think about it anymore.
No, you just go slower.
And honestly, I couldn't believe that I was riding a 3x Bronson with 27, like real, it's a modern bike by those standards. But
that was, I think, the last like modern complete with a triple. Shout out Josh Kistner, keeping the triple alive.
Yeah, we directly after that, Nomad 3. I mean, aside from at the time, I think the Nomad 3 was a page turner in terms of bike design. Nomad 3 went to 1 by only. That was controversial.
Yeah, the Nomad 3 was the first bike I can remember without a front derailleur hanger. Mm-hmm. It was like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah. And it also just felt modern in terms of geo. It wasn't boost at the time, but very few bikes had boost. And 170, full 27.5 at the time. Just a great bike. Like that really got me into like the high end of going fast and racing for sure.
Yeah, those bikes were sick, the Nomad 3s. I wonder where all of those, what was the color? The bubblegum looking one? It was like pink and
bubblegum blue.
Yeah.
I had that one.
Dude, I wonder where all those are right now.
Yeah.
I think about that specifically with Santa Cruz bikes, like the Cali Mocho colorway and all the wild stuff. There was like what was the one that was like a Pepto-Bismol color? Oh, Fry Sauce.
Fry sauce.
But just like where are they now? I want to do like a VH1 behind the music. Where are they now? But just highlight the old colored bikes, like sitting in a garage collecting dust. But then sometimes you're on the trails and you see like little Johnny that stole his mom's bike because she doesn't ride anymore and like loving it. It's pretty cool to see out there. But
it's funny because we kind of went the other direction. It's like, what are some of the old bikes that have a few of the old standards that are still really good? I saw a guy riding the Gen 2 5010, like the full 27.5, 130, 140 bike. And I had a couple of those and I was like, I have a bunch of friends that always tell me like, oh, I want to get into mountain biking. What sort of bike should I get? What price range? And those are very affordable now. Like you can sub $2,000, a full carbon bike with like a 1x XT brakes, whatever. And they're good bikes. You go to have a riot because it's super flickable. You know?
Yeah, dude, bikes are definitely good these days. Yeah. I'm trying to think what else is missing. What would help? I think, being able to, if there was some way I could adjust my tire pressure in and out without having to carry something extra. I know they make those little electric ones that are pretty sweet, but that's like, I'm thinking like Overlander style where you like on your e-bike, you can adjust your tire pressure while you're riding, right?
I've seen people like jerry rig that onto their gravel bikes and stuff for long distance races, which is crazy. But I would agree. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I will mega air up my tires before like the first long climb, road climb, whatever, like we did yesterday.
Dude, I did it yesterday for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you're climbing for an hour plus an hour and a half. It's going to help you some.
Yeah. Anything you can do to numb out that climb.
Yeah. But the difference between us is I'm out there with a real tire pressure gauge and Alan's just like squeezing the tire. Like, yeah, that's right. Like
it's all about consistency though. You know what you need and then that's what happens.
I don't buy it. You can do it.
I don't know, dude. Were you having a hard time keeping up with me yesterday? I mean,
didn't ride together enough to know.
I guess not. Yeah.
I was thinking something every bike needs now. It's going to happen probably over the next 5 years, but manufacturers need to know storage, in-frame storage. You can't build a new bike without it now. Like it just has to happen.
Yeah.
And some manufacturers were limited by production. The partners they were working with just couldn't do it. But nowadays the factories are so modern, like it's part of the catalog. Do it.
Yeah. I think, I don't remember which brand it is. Is it Rocky Mountain that does the tool that fits inside the link? Or is it Canyon?
There's a few brands that have little tricks like that. Like Scott had it in the little window at the bottom where you adjust the shock. They had a tool. Specialized has it in the head tube. One Up was sort of a pioneer with that. Those tools, integrated tools, good. I think they should come with bikes.
I think the SWAT one came first, but
yeah, for sure. But I think integrated tools should come with all bikes now. That's probably a good point.
Yeah, I mean, with that was kind of where I was going with it. Is something I could see, being something needed in an add-on is like built-in tool storage where, maybe in the top tube, just under a little door is where the tool flips out or something like that. Yeah, just anything that simplifies riding for me is something that I like, I ride in a t-shirt, like pretty chill clothes. I don't like do anything super, sport specific. And I think the reason why I like to do that is it makes going riding feel like less of a task. And it also makes it feel more like achievable in a moment of, I don't have a lot of time or right. I got to be back by this moment. The less shit that I got to remember to bring, like I don't wear gloves. I almost never have flat tires spare, which is, I'm probably going to get a flat tire tomorrow now.
Which actually goes to say how good tech is now. I was thinking about that the other day is like,
and the fact there's no rocks in Santa Cruz.
No one wants to flat on their ride, but like, it's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, we do, majority of my ridings here in Santa Cruz and flats are, I think I get like maybe on average, dude, let's think about this. I've been riding in Santa Cruz now for about 15 years. And I think I've probably got like 5 flat tires in that whole time. That's not a lot.
It's a good sign. I think valves are something that can be improved. Like Julie, for some reason, she's so unlucky. I'll change her valves. The rear valve, 2 rides, it's clogged again.
Yeah.
It's like, well, got to change it again. It's like, you're just on that cycle. Now, some brands have tried to revolutionize the valve. You got Santa Cruz Reserves, got their own valves. Some other brands doing it too. And they do improve things, but they all have their downsides too. Like the Reserve one is pretty sweet. You can't clog it. But if you're trying to just like take a little air out, you're going to be taking 4 pounds out. Like it's really hard to get
out fast.
It comes out really quickly, which is great if you're trying to like put air into the tires. And then the solve for that is like you put on the valve and then use the valve to like, and then you have to unscrew the valve and then you check your tire pressure like that. It's like,
yeah, that's not good.
Back and forth. So valves, you could definitely improve.
Is that a valve thing or is it a sealant thing? I mean, it is tough, right? Because the sealant is made to clog the hole, but you need a hole to put air in and out.
It's true. It's true. You need sealant. I thought that in the last few years, rim tapes improved. Have you noticed that?
Like I said, I've got 5 flats in the last 15 years, so I don't mess around with rim tape too much.
I used to struggle so much with rim tape. Retaping rims, every 2 tires you change, it would rip the rim tape off. And now it's like you get a wheel set, it comes with rim tape.
Dude, I was a big fan. I don't know if they still use them on the current Roval wheels, but the old Roval Traverse wheels, they just had like a plastic liner
like
inside.
Rim strip.
Yeah, like a rim strip. And I remember a couple of times, like if you haven't changed your sealant in a long time, the tire will stick and it'll like pull your tape off. Well, in this case, it pulled the plastic strip off, but you could just take it off and clean it off and put it back on and it would work. Like that's pretty sweet.
When I was having my rim tape issues, I was like, you need to have a rim strip insert. And then once I stopped having those issues with rim tape, I was like, I didn't need that anymore.
Yeah, that's convenient. They fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed it.
And you didn't even do a podcast. Trying to think of what else there might be. Technology that I never really thought of that is sort of making its way into the mountain bike world is radial tires. Schwalbe launched them kind of quietly. Like I've heard tricklings of it and it's becoming more and more common. But I was up in Bellingham at Northwest Tune-Up and I was lucky enough to bump into some SRAM engineers and they had those tires on their bike. And he was telling me with the radial tires, he's having to run more pressure to get that good feel on the ground, but it's increasing his traction and his small bump sensitivity with the radial. So,
and I guess rolling speed.
I mean, with more pressure, yeah, but also he's running less risk of pinch flatting or tearing the sidewall or denting his rim or something like that. But he's getting that small bump feel. Like that's one of the things I'm really interested to try because with tires being so important, I think people overlook that. Even your tire pressure, you can ruin a ride.
Oh yeah.
And you can make a ride with the difference of 2 PSI. And I don't think people understand that, but to put it into perspective, it is the first thing touching the ground before it gets to you. So that feel is super important on what it's going to do. Traction, grip, pressure, all of that stuff is super important when it comes to tires. And the new radial tires, I think it could be setting a new standard based on some of the feedback I've got.
Yeah, tires are one you really have to test because I've tried quite a few different tire brands. I have some, strong opinions on some versus others. I think that there's some brands, the brands that have been around the longest is the reason why they've learned a lot. Like people really overcomplicate their tire setups. And I'll just like kind of go out there and say like a good set of Maxxis tires. Like you could probably run a DHR front and rear in 98% of circumstances and be absolutely stoked. And you would have the entire, range. But that's not to say there isn't other good tires. And Schwalbe's one of those. So the radial setup, I looked into a little bit and I think it's good, but I've heard mixed reviews. So I'm pretty interested to hear your feedback. And on the tire pressure situation, I think we need like a PSA because you didn't set your tire pressure for your ride and you need to. Not saying you, I'm saying you, the viewer.
Yeah.
And there's a few reasons for that. One, and the biggest, I'd say is consistency. You need to learn the tire pressure that you need and you need to always run it. And you'll learn over time. You'll try something, you'll realize you're striking your rims, you'll realize you're starting to flat, or you're just pushing into that berm and they squirm a little bit and it's a feeling you don't really want. And it's always when you're pushing the hardest. But on the other side, if you have too much pressure, yes, you're going to roll a little bit faster, but the tires won't be forming to the earth like they need to. And tires, people don't think about it this way, but it is kind of part of your suspension.
Oh, yeah.
And it is kind of the first suspension that touches the ground. And brands like Cushcore have realized that and they've built their own solution around that. But your tires are like, it could be the difference of feeling like your suspension's freshly serviced to like clap stuff. And that's what I recommend is test on a day, kind of think maybe what do I need? If you have normal tires, not radial tires, it's probably going to be between 20 and 25 psi. You know, in the front, probably a little like closer to 22 or something. In the rear, you could go 26, 28. Depends on the type of rider you're.
How much do you weigh and how much PSI do you run?
Exactly. How much you weigh? How many So me?
Yeah.
So right now,
oh, he's getting self-conscious.
I'm around 195.
Never ask a lady her weight.
No, I'm around 195.
195.
6 foot.
And your tire pressure is?
I run. Actually, lately it's been no matter the casing. I run 22.5 in the front, 25.5 in the rear.
Nice.
And yeah. I used to run more, but I run a little bit less now. And the reason is because I've improved my suspension setup and my riding style. It's one thing if you're a super smooth rider, you're lifting up over the little like rock edges, you're not slamming into roots, you know how to pump, or you're like, I'm just going to be bunny hopping into hard edges. Yeah, you need more tire pressure. You need to learn how to ride better.
Depends where you are for sure.
Yeah. And if you're in Santa Cruz, you can get away with riding a little less.
Dude, I don't run the same pressure I run at home anywhere else.
Right. And then if you live in a very rocky place, you might need more. And there's a lot of variables to that. If you have aluminum wheels, it's more flexible. You have carbon wheels, maybe it's more harsh. You have risk of breaking your wheels. But you just need to go out and market find. You need to find a track you want to experiment with and find the two extremes. Like try 25, 30. Feel what that feels like. Try 20, 25.
Yeah.
And then
what kind of my rule of thumb that I try to tell people is like, because every bike has a guide, right? You can look into it, a service guide or a setup guide or a first use guide. They give you like a range based on weight, like what you should be somewhere around. And like you said, give it some try. So find a track that you know really well, because that's where you're going to find these idiosyncrasies of the differences is by you being comfortable on the trail and knowing what is normal.
Yeah, you need to have a
that
control.
base. You got to have that base. Mm-hmm. So what I try to tell people is do a run with it the way that the manufacturer suggests, whether it's a tire manufacturer or it's a brand new bike and they've given you some suggestions, and then do 2 PSI less and 2 PSI more and see what feels good. And then you'll start kind of fine tuning into things. And what's funny is talking about tire pressure and conditions, like as it starts to get drier here in town, I'll start lowering my pressure to where like right now I'm running like 20, 22 maybe in my tires. I'm 140 pounds, so I'm pretty light.
Yeah. Weight is a big factor.
Yeah.
I could never run that.
Yeah. So, but lowering it down to that versus when it's wet and you can actually go fast and you can really lean into the turns and blow into stuff, I'm having to run like 22, 24. Yeah. Otherwise I'm going to be smashing rims. The tire is going to get a little wobbly. But even to take that another step further, when it gets super dry, usually this time of year, mid-August, I'll do like a quarter turn on all of my spokes because I get to that point where
looser.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get to that point where I'm trying to increase traction by lowering pressure, but then I get to the line where, okay, now my tires are too squirmy and I'm hitting my rim off stuff. So when I get to that point, I'll then do like a quarter turn on all of my spokes. And then it's crazy how much feel that gives you to the ground just doing that. And then when it starts to rain again, I'll tighten my spokes back up, pressure back up, and just full send all the time.
Yeah, some brands are on that. Like Zip was making those moto style wheels, and they would mold like it would be if you were to loosen your spokes, and that was great. But I think they were a little too extreme. But it's good that like people can play with that. But you have to be really in tune. You have to go through the work of 1, what's the tire pressure I like? 2, how do I ride? And then you can get all the way down the rabbit hole like you with spokes.
Yeah, you can go so deep. I read something about Nico Vuyo in the 90s. Like that was one of his secrets was spoke tension. They would like go up and test all day long on like 10 different sets of wheels that had like minute different amounts of spoke tension and hone in on what was the best traction, what was the best feel for the type of terrain. In basically every race, he had different spoke tension because he was just tuning into it. That's the kind of stuff you can feel when you're on the line. Like when you bring a product to the edge of its capability, you start really getting to know what it can and can't do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good conversation. We didn't quite answer the question of what we need in the future, but we did. We had some good little points there.
Actual sealed headsets.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Let's go sealed headsets and less different standards that make people angry when they want to change their parts.
Yeah, bike standard. Is that an oxymoron?
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming. Don't forget to shop on reconmtv.com. We got some great things cooking, more podcasts. I'm about to go out of town for a couple of weeks for the last Enduro World Cup. Alan's going to Crankworks Whistler. Probably by the time this podcast comes out, we'll be pretty close to coming back and having more content for you guys. But in the meantime, keep riding. Make sure you measure your tire pressure.
Keep shredding. Keep lubing your chain and keep checking your tire pressure.
You know, there's some rides you actually need to take chain lube with you.
I know, do that. That was more of like a concern thing, but I'm trying to think. There's like a G.I. Joe's used to have a thing at the end of it where it would like be a little PSA for kids, like, remember kids, don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to do that, but it's like, remember kids, check your tire pressure and lube your chain.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Yep. See ya.
Red means recording. Shirt's not bunched up.
Belong.
Let's go.
We'll still keep it vague on where we are.
Sure. Interested. I'm always skeptical of new tires. I've tried. Oh, there goes the camera.
Camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2. That's also a movie quote that you don't know. Wayne's World. He's like, camera 1, camera 2, camera 1, camera 2.
Yeah, on the I feel like my mic is, maybe I just need to be closer.
Remember kids, your ride can be improved just by checking your tire pressure.
It's completely true.
And dude,